Hello everyone, it's Corey Wadden from Millionaire by 25. I'm really excited about today and the person I have on the line with me right now. Someone I've been wanting to get a hold of for a long time, who is actually very hard to get a hold of. And I know he values his time very much, so I can appreciate that. But I just want to give you an introduction to who he is, and then we're going to start asking him some questions. We're speaking with Chad Mureta. We have Chad Mureta on the line. Chad Mureta is an entrepreneur. He's also an author. He's a speaker and now a consultant as well. A little bit of what he's been able to do, and it's crazy reading this like Cole's Notes version. I don't know if you ever get used to it, but he's created an app business where he's developed 46 apps, I do believe, that have sold. It's been downloaded more than 35 million times. His first app cost $1,800 to make, gave him a return of $800,000 in 2011 alone. He made $3 million, which is crazy. Author of the best-selling book App Empire, came out in 2012. Most recently got the attention of Tony Robbins. I hear you've been speaking at his events as well, which is insane. I watched that interview. And a consultant as well. And he's gotten the attention of TechCrunch. He's been featured on numerous blogs like Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour blog. This has all happened in 3 years. And how old are you now, Chad?
31.
31 years old. That's insane. So it's an honor and a privilege to have you on here, to say the least.
Thank you.
No problem,
Thank you.
man.
An honor to talk to you as well.
I appreciate that. So we're going to kick it off. And Chad, I wanted to get to know you, have people get to know, the real you, so to speak. The people that are watching this, they're getting started mostly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from 14 years old all the way up until 30. It's pretty wide spectrum, but everyone's just trying to learn the ropes and ultimately try and make something of themselves. So a big thing I wanted to get to know, because you don't speak about it as often, is, what was it like growing up for you?
Yeah. So I grew up in Vermont. Vermont's a very small state, and I grew up in Montpelier, which is the capital, and it's actually one of the smallest capitals in the country. If you ever play trivia and are asked that,
No.
but I grew up in just that small type of kind of a farm town, and small school. Basically, we had about 80 kids in our class. At the time, I didn't realize it, but at the time, I was just frustrated because I wanted to be in the city and I wanted to do all these different things, and it's a very slow lifestyle. And I didn't realize kind of what I had while I had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But incredible family. Didn't make a lot of money at all. We're always struggling. You know what I mean? Always struggling financially, trying to make ends meet.
Okay.
And I looked actually around me, and I saw a lot of people, relationships breaking up, and people just angry or miserable because they didn't solve this money game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I learned early on that a lot of emotions, negativity were tied to a lack of money.
Okay.
And so that started giving me that fire, that fuel that I have inside of me.
Yeah.
And, I decided at an early age, that's not going to be like me. I'm not going to live my life like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out a way. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to figure out a way to kind of beat this game. And, I was active a lot. I was a sports guy. I played soccer and basketball, and I was always, you couldn't kind of stop me as far. I could never lay down. I was always either running or playing sports or hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Vermont's such a beautiful place that you're just constantly enjoying being outside.
Okay.
And it was a pretty cool place growing up. I mean, it's really like gave me my life today, looking back at it.
That's cool. And did you have any mentors, or did you have any people that you looked up to when you were growing up? Like, it could be anywhere from when you were like a little kid, like a superhero, to even when you were 18, 20, 25 years old. Did you have a group of people that you emulated or looked up to in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't so much business-wise. I was so much into sports at the time.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was a huge mentor to me. I remember, seeing him play, and I think what he really gave me was a sense of heart. I'm going to control the game. I don't care what happens or odds are against me. I'm going to step up. I'm going to win every time. And that he was somebody I really looked up to, and I was lucky to meet him actually years later. But Yeah,
Wow,
that was probably my biggest one was a lot of sports athletes. Michael Jordan was at the top of the leaderboard.
that's crazy. And like, were you always an entrepreneur, or did you work jobs when you were younger?
So when I was younger, my grandfather actually had a gas station. I used to pump gas when I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
And I had, I basically, again, saw people not making enough money, so I was always trying to do new things. So I had like vegetable stands out there from our garden. I had lemonade I was selling. I didn't really realize what I was doing. I didn't really know what an entrepreneur was. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have it too much in my family, even though my grandparents owned that gas station. That's what they did back then. They didn't really understand, scaling a business. It was like, this is your business, this is you, and that's all you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't really have too much training. I think when I started getting into it is when I actually went to college,
Okay.
and I didn't have any money. Like I was the kind of kid that, shouldn't have got into college. My grades weren't that great, and I didn't have any money to get in.
Yeah.
I was good in sports, and so I was able to get in. And my first real entrepreneur, I would say, experience was getting into my dorm room and somehow going on eBay and buying all these things on no reserve. And so my roommate walks in, and there's just boxes everywhere. So he couldn't even to meet me. He had to walk around the corner, go through the boxes, and he's like, "What the heck did you do to our room?" I was just running an eBay business out of my dorm room, and that actually got me through school.
That's awesome. What did you study in school?
I first went in for sports psychology.
Okay.
I wanted to be like either a personal trainer or, in my mind's eye, I wanted to be like, some type of a sports agent. I thought that always looked really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Deal
yeah.
with really top athletes.
That's cool. And then fast forward a few years, I know what you've been doing, but you did something before apps, right?
Yeah. I've had a lot of different lives, I feel like, in the whole entrepreneur space. So, I had the eBay thing, and then actually went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina,
Yeah.
where I started like serving, restaurants and stuff like that. And, long story short, I ended up getting, I was in a mall and somebody grabbed me and said, "You should do this Dawson's Creek audition, blah, blah, blah." So I ended up doing like that part of my life where I was doing some acting. And when you're young and you get pulled in an acting role, you think like you're going to be this movie star. And I didn't know what I wanted, but I thought, hey, that was financial freedom to me at the time. And so I started doing some of that stuff. And when I was in New York City, I was actually reading all these books, like real estate books and stuff like that. I really wasn't into acting or modeling. And so I got back to Vermont and opened up basically like a real estate investing company where I was searching out properties, building them, fixing them up, and then flipping them.
Oh, cool.
And that's what got me started in kind of getting some cash flow. And I did it with no money. I had no money, no credit.
Wow.
But I bought every single real estate course that there was,
Yeah.
through them all, and then looked at like the common denominators. What do they actually mean? What could I use, right then and there?
Yeah. That's cool. And
Yeah.
so what age were you when you were doing the real estate?
I did real estate when I was, like 20, 21, up until I think I was 22, and then I had a newspaper company.
Oh, wow.
I opened up a classifieds paper that ran, it's called Mid-State Classifieds, and it ran all of Vermont, but I was working my butt off. I was basically selling the ads, putting the paper together, delivering the paper, dealing with customer service, so I was completely burnt out, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so I ended up selling that, and I worked for another newspaper company, and that's when I eventually moved down to Myrtle Beach to start out my real estate company, and that was right before before the accident.
Okay, that was going to lead me to my next question. So what was like the Harajuku moment, or the moment where everything changed for you? You decided to get into apps, because I know it's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, so I feel like, every day is an education, right? Everything you do is an education. I'm always like trial by fire.
Yeah.
I want to experience things
Yep.
and learn from them. And so when I started making money in real estate, I was like, okay, well, this market's great. Let me take it to the next level. And so I opened up a real estate company down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's where I actually transferred to go to college.
Oh, cool.
And it was the worst possible time you could ever open up a real estate company.
Yeah.
In 2006.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it was very difficult for me, and I was just constantly trying to figure out new ways that I could sell properties and I wasn't even a real estate agent, and then I become an agent, and all these dramas happened, and I worked myself in a huge hole. All the money I just made the past like 4 years of my life went out the window to basically supporting this business because like I did not want to fail. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna make it through this thing.
Yeah.
My outcome is too important, for my family and for my life.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, in the middle of all of that, I took one night to basically, take a breath from everything.
Yeah.
And when everything's like going wrong in your life, it's like, there's signals everywhere, and sometimes it's hard to see.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. It's like, okay, I have to make a major change.
Yeah.
And so that's actually where I met Michael Jordan, amazingly enough, at that game.
Wow.
And I'm watching Charlotte Bobcats. He was the owner, and I'm seeing him. He's playing the Boston Celtics, who are my team. And I'm all excited. But at the same point in time, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, all these people are having an amazing time.
Yeah. And
I'm realizing, like, man, something's off. Like, I have to get back to my life because I'm just working like a dog. And,
yeah.
That's what it's not about. So I said, okay, I'm going to make some change. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And driving home on the interstate, I was thinking about stuff and trying to figure out how I can change this. And all of a sudden, a deer came out. It's amazing, what happens when you're deep in thought and you're kind of asking the universe to come down and solve things, as you know.
Yeah.
I hit a deer and my truck flipped 4 times, and I got cut out of the truck. And just remember waking up into the hospital, thinking, okay, well, I asked for this. I asked for change, so here it is.
Damn.
So that got me where everything stopped. So I didn't have any thoughts about the real estate stuff.
Yeah.
I was pretty negative. The doctors were saying, I possibly was going to lose my arm.
Yep.
And I was scared. I was not just scared financially for the first time, but I realized that the reason I wanted money so bad is so I could actually have a decent life and not worry about my health and helping people. And in that moment, I had nothing. I didn't have either of them.
Damn. That's actually a very similar story to The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Have you ever read that book?
I have. That's an incredible one.
Yeah, it's great. That reminds me of that. Totally different, but kind of the same epiphanizing moment. That's crazy. And can you, for people watching, can you give kind of like a bird's eye view of what happened from that point until now?
Yeah, so basically when I was laying there, a buddy of mine came in and he saw that I was pretty bad.
Yeah.
He showed this article and he said, you can't run your real estate business out of the hospital, and I don't know what you're going to do. He's like, but since it's going to be a year or two for recovery, here is a way you might be able to make money, and it's about apps.
Yep.
And immediately, like most people do, because it was new to me, I basically just threw it to the side. I said, apps aren't for me. Are you kidding me? I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
I just got an iPhone the day of the accident. So like, I don't even know what this thing is doing. I haven't used it yet. I have no contacts in it.
Damn.
And talk about serendipity.
Yeah, right.
So I just remember laying in the hospital bed, looking at this article about 2 guys who made money without any tech experience in this new industry.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they figured it out. It seemed like they actually had this position that I've always looked for, where they could make money, not killing themselves, and they could actually contribute to people and enjoy life. And again, I was on all these drugs and morphine and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I said, why not? For the first time, why not? Let me check this out. And I drew out my first app with my opposite arm. Somehow wired money to India. Like, all these things are still kind of fuzzy just because I was on so much medication.
Yeah.
And my first app hit and became a hit. And then from that point on, I just started growing this unbelievable app business that allowed me to travel all over the world, really learn from all these different cultures, get my arm back and health back, but also get this clear, which, with most people, it's what holds us back, right? The mindset is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And now I took it to the next level where I sold my companies, and now, because it's such an important thing, I had the luxury of being able to teach what I learned in my book, App Empire, and then also in our educational platform that we have.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more about that. So, because when I talk to anybody about apps, becoming an appreneur, you're the first person that comes to mind. And
Awesome.
A lot of people are excited about that. talk a little bit more about App Empire, what it is as a training platform, because I know there's a lot of different areas within it. Like there's an app, there's a book, and
Yep.
just go on about that.
Yeah, so it originally started out with me just wanting to share my story and inspire people and give them, the information of being able to kind of rebuild their life, give them hope, basically.
Yeah.
And so I started this book, and it was supposed to be like 6 weeks, 8 weeks to write a book. Got published by Wiley, a big publisher, and it ended up taking me like 7 months. And it was a journey within itself to just write this darn thing.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the book, got it out there, did really well. But I also saw that people loved the book, but it also there needed to be more information. They needed more like how to take them off the next level. And so after the book, since that was my outcome, said, okay, well, if they like that, let me put the next chapter in this and actually come out with a product where I'm on video, kind of holding their hand and teaching them. And that's when I came out with the App Empire system to do that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I had the same, actually. There's your book right there.
Nice.
I got that in, I think it was June, and that was the first thing that came to mind. I actually came across your stuff from Tim's blog.
Nice.
And that was crazy. I mean, there's a lot of information in that alone, but the first thing when I finished that, I actually tweeted you. I guess me and my business partner now spent like a month, and we downloaded like every app, and I had them all in different folders on the iPhone, and I sent you the image. And you tweeted back. You were laughing. You thought that was cool, and that meant a lot. So
cool.
When people are starting, I mean, to me, those types of little things really are encouraging and things like that. Do you think someone, if they're starting off in the app business, should they find a mentor right away, or should they just get started and then, go on and try and find one along the way?
A good question. I think it matters. I mean, everybody's different, right? So I think it's important to figure out, and I don't care who you are, you've been successful at something before.
Yeah.
And so figuring out what your pattern is when you actually commit to something,
Yeah.
I think is really important. Now, a mentor obviously works for most people. Having some type of accountability partner, and like what Tim talks about is having stakes.
Yeah.
And I think he nails it. Making stakes to make you commit and publicly telling somebody exactly what you're doing. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm publicly committing to it, and there's no backing out of that.
Yeah.
You just do that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important. And even if just the fact of going, I know the information works.
Yep.
I've done it a million times,
Yep.
and I know that people that have followed it works. So all this is figuring out how do you actually pick it up and go through the information and make it effective. And usually a mentor or accountability partner solves that.
That's true. And you think, when they're starting off, anybody in apps, there are a lot of tripping points that obviously can stop someone from making it. What do you think some of the tripping points are, and how can people avoid them just when they're starting off?
Starting off, it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because it is such a new thing, and most people that jump in, from my experience, are similar to me in the fact of, they don't have this technical experience.
Yeah.
So the roadblocks typically are, how do I find a developer? How do I find a designer? How do I submit my app and stuff like that? And so I think, getting the education and understanding that it's actually easier than you think. Like, you don't have to be at a computer coding, but you have to find the right person.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to sit there and come up with this unbelievable, innovative idea, but you do have to look at the marketplace and understand what's working and emulate. So there's certain things that you really do have to figure out, but it's typically not nearly as difficult as what most people make it out to be.
Okay, so the biggest tripping point is just thinking that it's impossible to begin with, and it's just not, in the realm of possibility for them. It's too hard, it's too difficult.
Yeah. It's the amount of perspiration, it's people, they think they can find somebody really quickly, and they think that they can just come out with one app idea, roll the dice, and then make millions. And like anything, you have to put time into this.
Yeah.
Now, this is a lifestyle business, but I didn't get there because I just sat there, made one app, made a lot of money, and then just trolled around the world. I took a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of dedication. And it takes that. You have to, I think most people have this hallucination that, because they want to make money, and there's all these ways to make money, that they can do one thing and they can be lazy, basically,
Yeah.
make a crap load of money and do what they want. But I mean, I'm telling you, it takes work and dedication, period.
Yeah.
And then once you set it up, you can travel and do your thing, but you have to take the time to actually get results first.
That's true. Do you know anyone who's personally failed? And I mean, like any friends or acquaintances?
With apps?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple friends that have, a couple people. I mean, our community is rocking it, but obviously there'll be some people in there that, I mean, basically anybody that that isn't committing to it fully, that isn't actually chunking and scheduling time to learn about this,
Yeah.
they're going to get some resistance.
That makes sense. And so,
Yeah.
someone's dedicated, they say, okay, I'm going to do this. They have the belief in themselves, all that stuff. What do you think the biggest misuses of time people have when they're starting off?
Ooh, that's a wonderful question. Misuses of time when they're starting off. I would say probably the number one misuse of time is most people, what they do is they draw out this incredible app. They spend all this time coming up with ideas, and they create like Facebook pages,
Yeah.
and they think about like PR releases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that is a complete waste of time. So it's like they go step 3 instead of first understanding what the marketplace is.
Yeah.
And then once they understand that, now it's about like getting your team right and setting that up.
Yeah.
And I think people they run before they can walk. And in the app business, like most businesses, you have to start off by getting your foundation, because if not, everything else will just crumble.
That makes sense. And then, so you're saying all that. Are there any other myths? Like, from what I'm gathering from what you're saying, is that people think it's a get-rich-quick type thing. They don't want to put the time in. Are there any other myths over the App Store even now, do you think?
I would say one of the myths is that, obviously you have to be a tech person to do it, and that it's most people think that it's overcrowded right now, that you can't make money.
Yeah.
And so everyone's going on this belief that, well, the gold rush was there, now it's over, there's no way to make money in apps. When we just had a student that's making, like $100,000 a month, and he just started a few months ago.
Wow.
So it's like, I know that it works. I see it every day, and that belief holds them back, unfortunately, because I mean, just look on the news, look around. Everyone's glued to these devices. Wherever you go, people have iPhones, and they're looking at them. And when is now a good time to understand that you need to make money in this field?
Yep. Yeah.
Internet, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the biggest belief, is that they think that this is just a fad and it'll be over with tomorrow. And let me tell you, it's just started. It's just like gaining momentum.
That makes sense. And then, so from like just starting off, they've got the belief, they understand what not to do. What do you think are the most important, like 2 or 3 steps to just getting going?
I would say the first few steps in getting, after they've kind of been educated, or you're saying just right off the box?
Right off the box. So it would include, like, education sounds like the first one, right?
Yeah.
And then
to me,
after,
that's number one is, don't roll the dice in this, in any business, but especially in the app business. Get educated somehow, some fashion. Obviously, we have materials, but there's a lot of different materials now on apps because people have had success. So find some vehicle to learn about the marketplace and spend some time being a user.
Yeah.
Download these apps, play with them, get associated with them, and just kind of start reverse engineering the success.
Okay. And you talk a lot about emulation in that sense. So you say, study what's good, find a way to make it better, and then make a better app.
Yeah. What's amazing about the app business is that you have so much data to learn from, because you're looking at the App Store and you're seeing in real time all these apps that are doing something to make money. So you can see what their marketing is. You can see, certain keywords that they're using and icons that they're using, and you can be the user, because you can, in real estate, I couldn't do this. I couldn't understand all the things that make someone find or buy a house as well as I could in the app game. In the app game, you have that information. You just have to look at it and again, find out what's actually working.
And how much do you think someone needs to get started, monetarily speaking?
It really depends. I don't like to spend a lot of money on apps, and especially in the beginning. I spent $1,800 people now are spending, some $500 or $1,000 just getting like source code.
Yeah.
And they're just grabbing source code, they're learning my marketing techniques, and they're just getting it back out into the store pretty quickly. So, to get started, if you're doing your own app and you're starting from scratch without buying source code,
Yeah.
It really depends. It could be $1,000, could be a couple $1,000. The more complex you make it, the more you spend. But I would not push someone to spend a lot of money in apps until they understand what's working.
So really not that much, less than 5,000, you'd say?
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And resources, I think this is key. I want you to talk about what you offer with your book, your program. But outside of apps, I also want you to, if you can, give maybe 2 or 3 of your suggestions, whether it's a book, a course, anything, on like mindset and things like this as well.
Yeah, totally. So, our course basically is an extension of the book, which is me going over everything. So I did probably around 65 apps at this point, and I don't know, probably like 80 million downloads. Wow. I built up 3 companies where, I was able to travel all over the world, working a few hours a week because I built a system for that. Yeah. And then I sold them off. And so, it's basically what I learned and how to get someone to do that the exact same way. Yeah. And technology's changed, so I had, technology built for some of the things that I was doing manually. Yeah. And, worked them through the whole process. But, really, outside of that, I would say for people to work on their mindset to make money, it's getting involved with people like, reading like Tim Ferriss's stuff or going to an Tony Robbins, conference. He's incredible what he teaches for the mindset. He puts you in that room in immersion, and he gets your physiology going. And I commit to having my hour of power and my stuff at night. I have a routine every single day. And a lot of people, they think that, once you make millions of dollars, then you're set. And you're not. I have to work as hard, if not harder, on my mindset every day, or I can go back quickly.
That's huge. Can you, I don't want you to tell too much about your personal life, but can you delve into like what your schedule is like as far as like you said it was your hour of power, is that what you called it?
Yeah, so I wake up every morning and I basically do some stretches while I look at the App Store and go through the App Store. I always look at, my day, what's going on in my day. Yeah. And what I do is I have this whole kind of tape that I built, and it's actually from What You Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Hausman. And what he did was he realized that there's certain things that you can say that program your unconscious and your subconscious. So I took that another level, and I basically went over what my goals were, what things are holding me back, the person that I want to become, and I just record it on iTunes. It's a long loop, and as soon as I wake up in the morning, I just push play, and I do my stretches for my arm, and my Gosku stretches, and I just have this loop playing non-stop, and it's in my own voice, and it's just programming me. Because I really believe that, we are a product of our conditioning, and since we're always going around in life and we see people eating bad or doing bad things, I don't care how strong or how tough of a force that you have, you pick up on that stuff. Yeah. So the person that's going to win at that game is the person that's going to be able to out-condition anything that's conditioning them. Yeah.
I've found personally, and I'm nowhere near on the level of success that you are, but I found that people have this negative connotation with personal development, and they think that it's for people who are, in the slumps. But it's really interesting to hear that people who are ultra successful do it as much, if not more, than most people, right?
Yes.
I read that thing about the personal narration and the magic of thinking big. They talk about doing that, and I hadn't done it, but that's crazy that you do that. You find it helps?
Oh, it definitely helps. Yeah, I do that, and then also what I did was, again, Apple makes it so easy. Yeah. I put a trailer together. Yeah. So I have different parts of me, right? So I have like the love side of me, I have the business side of me. Yeah. And I have like 5 different parts, and I make a trailer of, pictures and videos, and it has my voice. And so depending on what part I really want to call on, I can just push a button and watch this trailer, and it just pumps you up and it gets that part out of you. And I've learned that by doing that, taking my supplements, bouncing on my rebounder, which is like a little mini trampoline. going over reasons I'm grateful. I mean, that like stacks it all for me and gets me ready for the day. Without that, I definitely notice a difference for sure.
That's huge. Do you pre-plan your days in advance?
Yes.
You do? Like
Yeah.
one day in advance or a couple days or what?
It really depends on what I'm doing. Typically, I'll try to do like a week in advance, and
Yeah.
I have like goals set up like monthly and stuff like that. But usually, what happens is things change during that week, and so the night before, I'll just look at my schedule and go through and say, okay, is this really the priority, or do I need to move things around? And that's constantly, I think, what I'm doing now because before I had a lot of time. Now I'm doing a lot more things.
Yep.
And so I'm having to really assess, is this where I should be spending my time right now, or is there a better place?
Okay, that's cool. I just want to give a moment. This book, for me, what I was thinking about, because I had a moment where I was thinking about what I was going to do, because I set this goal, and I didn't know how I was going to do it when I set the goal. I just said, I'm going to do this. It has to happen now. And I'm so thankful that I came across that post on Tim's blog because it was just like a defining moment. And I had to leave the city. I went, it's about an hour away, and it was like this nature walk. And I just said, what should I do? This doesn't feel right. And it was right around the time I read that post. And I picked up your book as soon as I got back at the chapters. And it's like the Bible, man. It's the Bible on apps. It's like, I've read other books and other resources as well, but nothing even close to compare. So anyone watching this, honestly, do not skip this, truthfully. Where can they find more information on your stuff as far as your courses and stuff like that?
Yeah, they can go, so appempire.com or appempirelive.com. They can check out some of the videos and get some more information. We've got some new letters there, and we're constantly doing blog posts and trying to interview some of the students that they're getting success, but they're doing what I did, but they have their own little flair to it. So it's incredible as things change, and everyone's different. People are finding different strategies to kind of get to the same outcome, which is really cool.
That's killer. So now I just want to finish it off and step away from apps for a little bit because just to educate people who aren't aware, Chad has been featured on 60 Minutes, numerous blogs, including like video interviews from TechCrunch, Tim's blog. Like you're everywhere for apps, and everywhere. And you got interviewed by Tony Robbins, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And now you're speaking at his events, and it just seems like, I mean, just speak on a human level, right? Just think about it for a second. I know, like you're at where you are now, and it's probably all a blur because it happened so fast.
Totally.
If it's anything like what I'm experiencing, and I'm sure it's like 10 times that, but I mean, for an average person, they get very intimidated. They don't think that they're deserving of this kind of stuff, and they're afraid, I think, to reach out to people and try and promote what they believe and all that kind of stuff. And you have done like an insane amount. And I'm really curious, and maybe you can enlighten people on it, how you've been able to go from someone that in the public eye isn't that well known beyond maybe your clientele with your real estate business to being known on an international level with your apps, with your speaking, with your consulting, and I do believe you're in ebooks now too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you're doing all these types of things. Can you describe the process of like going from, I don't want to say zero to hero because that's the terrible thing, but do you know what I mean?
I do. I totally, yeah. In fact, sometimes I'm not even present. It's when I hear that, I'm like, wow, yeah, this is incredible. It's nuts. But I don't know if I have like a formula for it. I think there's something to be said about going with life, meaning like not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but you're in the right energy, and you're really just, you have the faith, you have the belief, you're like, I'm going to make it happen, this is my time, similar to what you're doing, and nothing's going to get in your way, and you're really able to manifest and create what you want. All those people, all those things are people that I respected, work that I have gone to, and every time I either read a book or I met somebody, I said, I'm going to talk to that person, they're going to become a friend, and I'm going to give value to them. And I didn't question it. I always believed that. I never for 1 second said, I'm not going to meet this person, I'm not going to get this PR, And I always came from a place of, I'm going to give them value first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and just like, I want this, I want that. It's like, no. How can I serve you?
Yeah.
And I'm genuine about that. I really do want to help people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about, I just want to make millions and live in this amazing house and, be Mr. Scrooge. It's that I do have a higher purpose, a higher calling.
Yeah.
And I think once you, again, go with that energy and you really believe it, you're okay with seeking out any strategy that you're able to do to get in front of that person. And once you do and you give value, you're in. They can see a bullshit artist. They can see somebody that's actually genuine and really cares about something bigger than themselves. And it just, once you hit that first few people, it just, woof, it all opens up for you. And it's incredible. You keep attacking it with that same drive. You don't put your foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And everything, just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. That's killer. So let's just say, and I don't want to infiltrate your mailbox by having a bunch of people, try and reach out to you and, get a hold of you. Maybe that's a good thing. But how does someone go about getting in touch and, communicating with someone like Chad Mureta? If they do have someone they really look up to and they want to do that, how would you suggest? How do you like to be approached?
Yeah, it's been a challenge to me because for me, I love helping people, but I do get tons of messages, and I love my private life. I love, I think, most people think I'm an extrovert, but I think I actually am an introvert. Because, I charge up being away from that, but I also charge when I'm actually talking to somebody and helping them. I think there's two real main points. One is we have a Facebook group, App Empire, where I'm constantly blogging and talking to people. Yeah. And we have Twitter, which I'm constantly, on that. Yeah. And then, info@appempire.com. Yeah. People can reach out there, and I'm really trying to get better at answering as many as I can personally. Yeah. And because that's very important to me. So I think those three channels are probably the best, I would say. Okay. Sometimes we'll get some YouTube videos, and I saw your stuff and was really inspired by you. And I'm a human being like anybody else, and I'm here to help people and grow and connect and keep doing better things.
That's awesome. I think people will really appreciate that. You seem, like you really care about helping people, and I think the world needs more of people like you personally. So, and I don't want to get all serious and esoteric on you. But let's just talk here for a minute. They say, and I've heard this, that the 30s is where you build your legacy, what you're remembered by. And obviously you created this thing for yourself where you have freedom and, you want to enjoy that. But are you starting to figure out what you want to be remembered by, like what legacy you want to leave behind?
Deep question. Look at you.
I know. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's been interesting because complete opposite. I go from having an incredible traveling around the world, not working a lot, to just focused and driven and working harder than I've worked in my life. Yeah. I think for me, I really want to leave a footprint on this planet in one way or another. I don't know exactly which vehicle that will be. Yeah. I obviously have a lot of channels for education, and I love education. Yeah. But I'm looking at, how can I actually leave a footprint, something bigger than my own channel, right? So I'm looking at technology and being able to influence other people that have the ability and the resources to get certain technology and certain ways of communication spread across the world. Yeah. And I think that's just a daily type of focus for me. I always have to say, when I say, is this my priority? I have to look at it and say, okay, what is the ripple effect of what I'm talking about today or what I'm doing today? Yeah. How big is this going to grow? Yeah. And can I make it bigger? You know what I mean? Yeah. I
remember Tony, as I listened to his abridged unlimited power thing. It's about 50 minutes long. I listen to it regularly. And he says there are people who do want to leave a footprint, and there are people who want to sit on a beach. And I think for you, you're obviously the person that wants to leave the footprint. For me, I mean, I haven't accomplished that much, but even as you're getting going, I find that you start thinking about it more in the process. Yes. And with the book Mastery, I read the book Mastery by Robert Greene. It's killer book. Okay. And that made me feel a lot better about not necessarily knowing, just feeling right about it, and it'll all fall into place, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't doubt that you'll be a huge name and remembered for something big. Like I truly believe that, and I want to thank you for taking the time and you know, speaking. And I think people are really going to get a lot of value out of this. Is there any last words you want to leave people with? Just maybe words of encouragement, not like a rah speech or anything, but you know, anything that'll, you know, make them feel better about going after what they want. I think a lot of people, you know, sometimes their parents are very controlling over what they think their children should do. Just about staying true to yourself and you know, following what you want to do.
Yeah. So my word of advice or wisdom, whatever you want to call it, is, and I saw this myself. I grew up, you know, not the smartest guy in the world, and always feeling like I was below average. You know what I mean? Kind of put down. You can't get into college. You know, you're not smart enough. And so I carried that with me, and you know, I believe most people are way more powerful than they even believe. So the question I have to most people is, if you were abundant and you were powerful, who would you be and what would you do? And I think once you start adapting to that and believing that and stepping each step forward in that direction, you'll be amazed at what you'll see and who you become, because we are way more powerful than we understand. And I understand it now because I've had the opportunity to see it on myself. If I didn't have those circumstances, I don't know if I would have. And I'm just grateful, which is why I'm trying to spread it to other people so they can look in the mirror and see the real image that they see versus what their mind sometimes sabotages them to say.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I think people are going to get a tremendous amount of value from this. So I just want to thank you once again for taking the time.
So thank you.
And that was awesome, man. Oh, one last thing. One sec. So I wasn't kidding, man. I made this this book, and it's like how you have your video. I have a book, and
nice.
You were in it, man. So that's crazy.
Awesome, man.
I really appreciate
that. That's great. Nice.
Yeah, it's killer.
Strauss to the right.
Right next to Neil Strauss. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what it's about, right there. See, that's what I'm talking about.
That's killer.
I love it. Cool.
Okay.
Well, props to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path, and a lot of doors are obviously opening. And this is just the beginning for you. So, like, I do honor you for that. I'm very appreciative that you're taking what you have and just making it happen no matter what.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Take care, boss.